Well, Devlyn Macabre, welcome to the Grapple Theory podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm well. Thank you for asking. It's great to have you on the show. I've been wanting to get you on for a while because it seems like 2023 and like the back end of 2022 has just been like a really good 12 months for you. It seems like you've really grown as a performer, as a competitor, and are getting a lot of rewards because of that.
I'm not sure rewards, but yeah, I mean, since the end of 2022, it's been pretty much just go, go, go. I've had a lot of great opportunities, and it has kind of just been nonstop for me.
Yeah, you've had a lot going on. A lot of it we'll talk about in this chat here. And as a UK-based podcast, the first thing I wanted to get into was your trip over here to Eve for the first time. How was that whole experience? Because that was your first trip over to England, right?
Yeah. So I was supposed to be there. I want to say it was in May, but because of the train system is not quite the best, it prevented me from getting there. So that was a huge bummer. But I was able to come in. I was flying out of London anyways. There was a show going on the night before, and Dan really hooked it up. Dan's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously you got your debut a little while after against Session Moth Martina, who's fantastic competitor, great person to be in the ring with. How did you find that whole experience of actually, getting the debut after it having fallen through the first time?
It was really nice. It was cool to finally have that debut. And the crowd was great. The fans were great. It's always cool to be in a new locker room and meet new people. So it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, I was gonna say what about Moth herself as a competitor to be in the ring with? Is she a good competitor to be against when it's your first match for a promotion? In terms of in front of a new crowd for the first time, Moth is someone who gets such a great reaction, and it's very easy to work off of that in terms of trying to get yourself either the booze or whatever. Do you know what I mean? In terms of she's someone very easy to work with in that regard.
Oh yeah, then it was pretty easy actually because they love her and they hated me, so easy day in the office for me.
And that's what you want, isn't it? That's the perfect situation.
Yeah, my biggest pet peeve in wrestling is when the bad guys go out there and try to get cheered. I'm not a big fan of that.
No, and you're very good at getting the boos. You're really good at that. And I was going to say, in terms of sort of taking it back to almost the beginning of your career, is that something you'd always sort of chased in terms of wanting to be a heel from the off? Is that the way you'd always wanted to go?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer wrestling as a heel just because, it's just cooler to be something that you're not. And I am not afraid to get booed out of the building. I have done some mean things to people to get booed, so I'm totally okay with it. But I have wrestled people that are on paper they're heels, but they will go out there and they will get you to cheer for them. And then when you are a baby face and you're getting booed, that sucks. So I do everything in my power to get booed.
Yeah, and you do it well, for sure. And going back to your Eve debut, and in terms of also the one that fell through, Dan, obviously, you mentioned him before, is someone we've had on the show. Is someone who a lot of people who we have who work for Eve talk about, and he's a very hard guy to please in terms of if he likes you, in terms of if he books you, then you're doing something really right because he's so tough to please in that regard to get onto Eve. What was that conversation you had with him in terms of him wanting to bring you over?
I mean, I think it was just a normal conversation about being booked. He's really nice. He wasn't really hard to talk to or anything like that. And when I got there, he showed me around London, and he was very welcoming and super nice. Anything that would if you needed anything, he was there for you. Probably one of the more professional promoters I've ever worked with.
Yeah, he's really good. He knows what he's doing. And also, that sort of brings us on nicely to the fact that we'll get on some of your other travels from this year in a little bit. But obviously, you're going to be back over in September, October. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
How much are you looking forward to getting back over this side of the pond and exploring a bit more of the UK wrestling scene and Europe as well?
I'm very excited to be back. I haven't been able to like talk much about some of the stuff I have going on because it's just kind of confidential still, and has not been announced. But I have even bigger opportunities than I did beforehand, so I'm very stoked for that.
And that must be nice as well, like in terms of, I guess the word sometimes I use with other guests is like a validation thing of like, oh, I'm on the right path, because obviously like as an international competitor, it's expensive to bring people in from overseas. And so it must feel like, oh, I'm doing something right because these companies are willing to like pay to have me over.
Oh, that's not how that works. Unfortunately, I have to pay for everything myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, in terms of like yourself then, like how big a commitment is that in terms of, oh, I want to progress my career, I want to take these bookings, but also like having to weigh that up, like I imagine that's not easy, like in terms of a personal choice.
It definitely is very difficult. I knew from the get-go that I wanted to wrestle in Europe since I was like younger, because a lot of my favorite wrestlers are European wrestlers and I just like how they wrestle. But it is not something that's free. And I think a lot of wrestling fans have the misconception that, oh, I just get flown out there and they pay for everything. It's like, no, I dropped at least $4,000 on that first trip, and I lost a lot. I lost my job, I lost my car, like I lost a lot of things to get over there. So I sacrificed a lot, and it's starting to pay off, but you do it because you love it.
Yeah, absolutely, and like that's the thing, isn't it? Is like you wouldn't if you didn't love it so much, because like again, that's a huge amount of money to spend on doing something like that. So like kudos to you and credit to you, because that's really impressive. But I mean, then it must make it again, like I guess more rewarding as well when it's starting to show signs of paying off then.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And like obviously in your last trip to Europe, you also trained at the WXW Academy, made your WXW debut. That's another really cool thing as well, because I think WXW is like one of the biggest, well, easily the biggest promotion in like mainland Europe. So like that must have been a really cool experience as well.
I've been familiar with the WXW product since I was probably about 12 years old. So it was really insane to wrestle in that venue. I always looked at WXW as one of the biggest promotions in the world. So to be able to wrestle there, to train there is an absolute honor and pleasure, so it was really cool. And Robert, the head coach at WXW, he's super great. He, taught me so much. I learned so much. Like I was like a sponge trying to soak up all this knowledge. So I loved my experience there. It was probably the highlight of the trip.
Yeah. Robert's someone we've had on the show as well, and like talking to him, he's so passionate about WXW and like the product they put out and their academy as well, and the stars they bring through. I imagine it's a very like different learning experience to say like academies in America and in the UK as well, from like other people that we've talked to, whereby like it's not quite a different style, but there's certain little bits that are different that like just keep you on your toes and means that you go back to, like in your case, America with like a greater degree of knowledge in like certain aspects of wrestling.
Yeah.
And like
for sure.
Yeah, obviously like those matches as well. Like what is the, I guess the crowd dynamic like as well, in terms of like from what you saw from those European shows compared to what you were used to like in America?
The crowd dynamic was I would say the German crowd was a lot more lively than anywhere else I've wrestled. I didn't understand what they were saying half the time, but they were very they were into it. And I think in America, a lot of wrestling fans take for granted that they have wrestling everywhere and anywhere at any time. And, I think in Germany and a lot of Europe, they're more grateful because WWE doesn't run over there very often. AEW is running for the first time over there, I believe. So they're more excited when wrestling comes on because I don't think they have it as much over there. But in America, fans are not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are very. I don't think they realize how good they got it.
Yeah, I think that's something we've heard a few times where like, and again, as a UK wrestling fan, I can confirm like, I feel like European fans are a lot more like rabid for it when it comes over here because, like you say, we don't get it as much. Whereas in America, like a touring company like WWE or AEW can be like back in your like state like 2 or 3 times in a year, and so you see it so much more. Plus, obviously, all the TV stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool as well. Like again, like that sort of different dynamic, and it must be nice being around like fans who are like that, who are like so intense about it, especially like with the character you play in terms of getting that heel heat, that heel energy, to have that like intensity from the crowd must be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of again, like so, some of your work in America, and again, like talking about like that title and the company putting the belt on you again, like as someone who again is like a little early in your career, but not like you've had a good amount of experience. That must be nice as well for companies to be giving you that like, we want you to hold the strap kind of moment.
Yeah, it is. It's quite the honor, and it's not only just like a title in America, it's a title in another country, in another continent. So it's really awesome to be able to defend that over here and to even hold a title. It was my second match in Europe, and I won an international title, and it was really nice because in America, I've won titles before, but I was more so a transitional champ. I win it and I lost it on my first defense. So it was just kind of like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like it was cool to hold it, yeah, but it's like,
it doesn't mean as much.
It doesn't mean as much, yeah. So, it's like, yeah, we're giving you this title, but in 2 weeks you're gonna lose it. It's kind of like, well, what the hell is the point of it? Should have kept it on the girl, you know what I mean? So, it was nice that they were like, hey, we want you to carry this title, and we want you to take it back to America. We want to make this. I believe it was already a world championship, but it had not been defended in America yet. So to be the first. And I do believe I was the first American women's champion as well, is an absolute honor and a pleasure to do that.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I think it's really cool when promotions do that in terms of, like you say, making it an international title, making it so that, like, oh, it's not from, like, America, but you can defend it all across America because it gets that recognition, right? Like,
yeah.
And that's, like, you're just helping build that brand. I don't understand why, like, more companies don't do that, why they're so, like, they'll put it on, like, a champion and they'll go back to, like, their country and not defend it. It makes no sense.
I think the problem with it is a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the times, but there have been times where those wrestlers would just keep the title and never give it back. So it is also a trusting thing where, hey, we trust that she's going to come back with this title or not ruin it, because I do not think title belts are cheap. So, I think they'd be a pain in the ass to replace.
No, yeah, there would be, for sure. And when you come back over, obviously, like, I'm not being like, oh, like, where are you going to live? But, like, where are you based in like, when you come back over? Are you based in England or in Europe?
Manchester.
Manchester, oh, nice. Is that where you were based last time as well?
No, I was based in Essen, Germany.
Ah, okay, so that'll be a new experience as well. That'll be cool. Like, in terms of, I know, because when you came over, like, you did work in the UK, didn't you? Not at Eve, like, before Eve as well. You've done, like, other UK shows.
No, I just did Eve.
Okay.
That was it.
Sorry, I must be mistaken. Where were you when Eve got cancelled and then you couldn't make it over? Where was that from?
I was in, I was in the Netherlands at that time.
Oh, okay.
So,
sorry, that was my mistake. Then. Okay, that's cool. So you've not had, like, a huge amount of, like, time to spend, like, in the UK as such, or in London or anywhere. Like, is there anything, like, people have suggested to you, like, oh, you need to go here, you need to do this?
No one suggested much to me for the UK. I would like to go to Ireland. I know a lot of Irish people don't like when Americans say this, but they gotta deal with it because whatever. But I have Irish ancestry. It's like 80%, so I would like to go over there, kind of explore. I actually have a good majority of my family that lives in Ireland still. So,
Okay.
you know, it'd be cool to connect with them, but they're probably like, who the hell is this girl? Yeah, maybe not. But, you know, it's still cool to go over there just because a huge chunk of my ancestry is Irish. And I know I've said that before. And apparently Irish people don't like when Americans claim that they're Irish because they're like, oh, you're claiming it. And I'm like, I did a DNA test and it did come back that I was Irish. So, you know, you're gonna have to deal with it.
I think it's like, because it fascinates me that, because like I think it's one of those things where like Irish people think like Irish people think Americans think it's like a real cool like badge of honor to say you're Irish, but like a lot of Americans have Irish ancestry just because of, you know, history and stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't pay attention in history lessons because America is a boiling or melting pot. And there are like to be an American is a citizenship. It's not ethnicity. I believe I'm using the proper terms. So you can't be American in your DNA.
Yeah.
Although there are a lot of people here that think that, but it's not the case. So, you know, everyone has ancestry linked back to most likely outside of America. So, you know, just a quick little history lesson for the kids at home.
Yeah, think it's needed for sure. And I want to talk to you about like, because obviously you're based in Florida as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about the Florida scene, because we had Aspen Rose on a few weeks ago talking about like the Florida scene and like how it seems to be like quite difficult to break out of, and that you always feel like you've sort of made it once you break out of that scene. I just wanted to know if that experience is something you can relate to, if that was similar for you.
Oh, not really. Me personally, it was not very hard for me to get out of Florida. But I, you know, no discredit to her or anyone else. I've just noticed a lot of people here like to wrestle, and they expect something to come knock on their door and be like, here you go. And I'm not saying that's the case with her. I'm not saying, you know, names in particular. It's just something I've seen commonly.
Yeah.
And these are the same people that will bash you for getting out of state. So it's like I'm not a big fan of the Florida scene, to be honest. You know, there's some cool promotions coming up here. And then there's promotions that have been here, you know, Coastal Championships, CCW. That's pretty good promotion. They, you know, book great people. I had the honor to wrestle there once. And they can draw, they're professional, all of that good stuff. But unfortunately, Florida is flooded with some really shitty people. I don't really need to name names. I think, you know, a simple Google search will answer your question. But, you know, it's tough to get out. I've seen a lot of people. My ex-boyfriend, he wrestles, and it took him 3-4 years to get out of Florida. And he's a pretty good wrestler. So it's like, you know, it's hard for people to get out. Me, I was flying myself up to promotions before I was even cleared to wrestle, and networking and helping set up the ring and whatnot. So I was able to get out there and get my name around a little bit prior to making my debut. Like my first match was out of state. So I got very lucky, and I'm very grateful that I don't have to wrestle down here as much. But you know, I think even if you don't live in Florida, I think Florida is one of those states that's kind of harder to get out of. But if you don't live here and you're complaining and you're upset that you're booked in the same state, you're not getting out, the only way to get out is to literally forcefully get out of the state. You have to get in your car, or you have to hop in a car and go and talk to promoters, or you have to fly yourself somewhere, and you're going to have to lose money. But a lot of people don't want to do that.
No.
So at the end of the day, I don't really know. For me, not so hard. Not too hard to get out of the state. it's actually hard for me to get booked in the state.
I can tell why, because of the way you're talking about it. Like, yeah, people are like, nah. But like, I understand that because, like, again, Aspen was very similar. Like, I don't understand like we were bashing her because Aspen was the same. Aspen was like, you got to put in the work to get out of Florida, and she was like, she didn't understand why there are a lot of people who didn't seem to want to do that. Like you say, like they expect it to come to them, but you've got to put in the work and go out to like make it happen.
Yeah, and I've dealt with a lot of issues, mainly, I would say probably be mostly from, if not all, from men, like other male wrestlers that, I don't know if I would like to use the word jealous, but I would say that, they're not happy with the opportunities some females get. And I don't think this is talked about enough. I don't really care. I'll talk about it, and they can message me privately if they have an issue with it. But there's been so many male wrestlers, male promoters, I had this happen to me yesterday where someone made a stupid comment on my Facebook about how women are expensive and stuff. And it's like, I got very lucky. I've been wrestling for almost 2 years on the indies, and I've been very lucky, very fortunate, and I'm nothing but grateful. But I'm not sitting in my house expecting an opportunity to come to me. I've emailed thousands of promoters and probably got responded to by 20s. So it's like, you have to eat shit, literally, like forcefully eat shit, and fingers crossed you get a reply back. And when you do get the reply back, they're probably going to be like, hey, you have to drive yourself up here, we're not paying you. And then it's like, well, what the F, back to what I was saying about a lot of the male wrestlers is, I think it is a jealousy issue where they're like, oh, I'm really good, why am I not getting booked anywhere? Why am I because you're not sending any tape anywhere, and you're not getting out of your house and networking. You think by training, like they go to train and then they think they're going to get scouted by WWE, like they're going to be in the parking lot, like listening, like, oh, well, let's sign him. He sounds great. It's like, that's not how that works. And then, I've had issues with guys that I used to consider my friends that were like just assholes to me. And I'm just like, why are you being like, what did I do to you for you to do this? And it's because, I could only assume that, I get opportunities, and I've even tried to help some of them get opportunities, and they don't want to do it. So it's like, whatever, I just let it go, but I think if you're a wrestler and you are at a point in your career where you're like, hey, what's going on? You're gonna have to get out. That's how it is. So, you can't just stay in your house and expect something to come knocking on your door.
No, for sure. And I appreciate you being so open with it, because I think you're right. I think it's something that isn't talked about enough necessarily in terms of I don't know, in terms of anyone really, just saying, expecting those things to come to them and, slating the people who are working hard to get their names out there just because they think they're better. So,
yeah. For me, it's not a dig at anyone. It's just, Florida is such a hard state to get out of in general. But you have to. And you have to, it's going to suck. You're going to lose money and stuff. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, but again, like I say, I appreciate you being so open with it, because I think it's a discussion that is needed to be had. I think that there's still I think you see it not just in terms of treatment from other wrestlers or necessarily from promoters, but in terms of the way some promoters book shows where they'll be there are still cards I've seen in America and in the UK where there's no women's match or there's one women's match, and you're like, how?
Well, yeah, that was
how is this happening?
A discussion that was on my Facebook yesterday where I shared. I don't really share stuff that will cause controversy or anything, because I like to just, keep my my notifications drama free. But I shared something and it was listen, it's 2023. Why do we not have women's wrestling matches on the cards, right? And I think he's a promoter, he commented, well, women are expensive. And I'm like, I just replied, I would love to know what your definition of expensive is, because it's probably not expensive. And if you're working for free, I don't care what level you're at, you should not be working for free.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of promoters that are like, oh, if you've been wrestling for 2 months, you should be working for free. That's an absolute no. Because here's what happens is, if you're willing to work for free, like promoters talk, they're going to be like, yeah, this girl works for free. Yeah, you know, or this guy works for free. They're always looking to save money. So they're going to not pay you, or they're going to stiff you. I have never gotten stiffed, knock on wood, because I'm about my money. And if I leave and I ain't got my money, we going to have problems. Yeah. So I have never worked for free. Maybe one time where it was like an opportunity where I was doing someone a favor, but I don't work for free. I don't agree with working for free, and I don't care what experience level you're at. You don't work for free, because you're a business at the end of the day. And if let's say you're a pool cleaner, are you going to clean someone's pool for free? No, you're going to charge them. Yeah. So why are you wrestling for free? Especially, you can die. You can get hurt. And then what are you going to say? Oh, I wrestled for free in my last match ever. Now I'm paralyzed from the neck down. Yeah. No,
exactly. No, well said. Like, I think it's a discussion that is needed and needs to be talked about more. So, like, again, I appreciate your honesty on it. I totally agree. And it sort of goes back to what you were saying about, like, sort of paying your own way travel-wise to places and stuff. Because, like, again, like, you're putting in not just graft and getting places, like, you're putting in your own dime to get to these places to, like, make a name for yourself. And so, like, you deserve to be fairly compensated for that, as does anyone else who's in that same position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not making money off this yet. I'm not at the point where I'm, like, selling out merch everywhere I go. And I'm not at that point by any means, which sucks, but I hope that it will get to that point one day, or somebody will sign me and I'm making salary. So, I don't really do it for the money per se. I don't think that this is the best paying job to have. But, I do it because I love it, and I lose money because I love it, and I, sacrifice a lot because I love it. But, also still won't work for free.
No, absolutely. And obviously, in terms of, like, having those moments as well that help build yourself, I want to talk to you about, like, one particular match, because I just think it's like a super, I don't know if iconic's the right word, but in terms of, like, your character and who you are, I think your match, like, with Su Yung was something that, like, I was like, this is, like, the perfect matchup, right? Because it's sort of like the veteran, like, horror character versus, like, the new up-and-coming horror character.
Yeah. I don't know if that match is anywhere to view. I have a little taping of it, but the person that was recording it dropped the camera. So you can't see the finish of the match. And I've been debating posting it because I love that match so much. Sue is someone that it wasn't my first time meeting her when I wrestled her. And that match, I literally found out I was wrestling her that weekend. So I was immediately like, oh my God, like, this is the biggest match of my career. So Sue is really sweet. She is, like, any locker room she's in, she's like the mother of the locker room. Like, you can go to her about anything. I've seen locker rooms where there's a little bit of drama, and she's, the one that cools everything down. She's a real locker room leader. That's someone like that type of person, she's someone that can, like, easily lead a locker room. And, she's a vet. I consider her a vet. And I loved working her. She just is amazing. I would love to work her again. And it'd be filmed this time correctly.
Probably.
But I was, my character is a darker character, and hers is the dark as well. And I've wrestled people that have dark characters and stuff, but they want theirs to be very shown off and they want yours to kind of be downplayed, and they're like, hey, don't out dark my character type thing. She was not like that at all. She was wanting to tap more into my dark character. She was like, let's pull this out and do this. And, you know, it was very awesome to work with someone that was willing to give me a lot character wise. So, you know, because that's always been something I struggle with. And I feel like of all the dark characters in the world, Sue Young has the best, if you know. So she's someone that you want to sit down and pull your notebook out and listen to when she starts talking.
For sure. I was going to say, like, again, in terms of, like, her being a vet, like, she's been around for so long. I was wondering, like, is she... Because in my mind, it seems like you might have, like, pulled, like, a little of, like, your character idea from her in terms of, like... I especially see it in the facial expressions. I feel like you and Sue have, like, these really great facial expressions that, like, mimic each other quite well. In terms of that, and like, obviously I'm not saying like copying her, but like in terms of like building influence from that. I was just wondering, is that correct? And also, like, what other influences did you use when coming up with this character, be it in the ring or out the ring?
So, you know, I love Sue and I love her character. But I will say it wasn't like, it was influential for sure, but I was not like watching her stuff. I tried to avoid watching her character stuff a lot because, from the get-go, I was already getting compared to her. I was already getting compared to Julia Hart. I was getting compared to Isla Dawn, and it's like I haven't even debuted this gimmick yet, so I had to change it a lot because the last thing I want to do is be compared to somebody else. But if I'm being completely honest, the people that I stole, I wouldn't say stole, but I got a lot of inspiration from was actually Finn Balor and the Evil Dead series, the Evil Dead movie. So it wasn't really related to Sue because I knew from the get-go her and I were going to get compared. So I was like, let me just not watch her for a minute while I'm trying to, you know, get this character going and stay away from that because, of course, you know, also I don't want to steal her thing. And me and her even had a discussion where I was just like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing this character. And she actually helped me a lot with finding different things, suggesting different things. She suggested the horns. Like she really is like someone that you can go to and she helps you. So, but I was getting compared to her a lot, and I was getting also compared to Julia Hart. And you know, both are fantastic characters, and I don't think it helped that I wrestled Julia. And then, you know, people saw that I was doing something similar, but it's like I feel like they just say, oh, it's similar because there's eye makeup and black mist. It's like, oh, you're copying her. It's like it doesn't belong just to her. Like this is like a thing a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Julia, she's a sweetheart as well, but you know, I think wrestling is kind of recycled from other wrestlers at this point. So it's like you know, there are a lot of witch gimmicks in wrestling. I think Julia's more of like the witchy vibe, like that's what I get from her. And then my character's more demonic.
Yeah.
It's very demonic, and I was thinking about taking influence from real demons, but I'm like, I'm not trying to get possessed for real, so maybe we don't do that. But I've been studying up on like demonology and like taking different attributes from different demons and stuff, and you know, forming it into this character, what kind of like mannerisms they do. And I would watch more like I watch a lot of demonic possession movies, and like what do they do in these demonic possession movies when they're possessed, like what mannerisms do they do and stuff, facial expressions, like makeup, like things like that. It takes a lot to put into this character, and I have to kind of burn sage sometimes because I'm like, listen, I ain't about this life for real, you know what I mean? Like I ain't touching a Ouija board or none of that. But you know, I think when it's fictional, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, as long as you don't want to toe the line too far.
No. Like I don't be fucking with the I don't be effing with the demons.
You can swear. It's all open here.
Okay,
really. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. It's fine. But no, I was gonna. Well, actually, I'm interested now that you've said that. Like, obviously, you don't want to be possessed, but who would Devlin possess? Do you know what I mean? In terms of in the wrestling world, in the wrestling sphere, who do you think Devlin would like to possess in that sort of like demonic way? Who do you think like she'd be good to like go up to and like really get in their head?
So the story I'm kind of telling right now is, unfortunately, one thing I don't like about wrestling, is most of the time when your match gets recorded, you don't get it, or fans have to pay to see it. And there was this beautiful story I was telling at SWF in New Jersey. I had a long feud with another wrestler named Kelsey Reagan, and we closed that feud out by, I wouldn't say I possessed her, but she was, the mist came out, and then it kind of transformed her into a bad person. So that was the story I was trying to tell with that. And the mist is more of like an acid type thing. I know a lot of people like, I love how Asuka used the mist. She just more so does it to blind them and to get her, her win. But mine is more of a, I missed you, or like I did a point where I was dripping it on their face and it was like acid. And it was like sinking into your skin, and it's just like, oh my God, like it feels like you're dying. So that's kind of the story I tell with the mist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, like, because it draws me back to, like you said about like the comparison to like to Sue and to Julia, where it's like, is there ever not like a worry or so for you, but like I imagine it gets like frustrating having like the comparison, like especially like again with the mist, like people like Asuka do it as well, but like to make yourself be like, no, like I'm not, like don't compare me to these people because like they're great, but I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment to get compared to people sometimes, but I think when it's like, hey, you remind me of like a young Sue Young, or hey, whatever. It's cool, but then it's like if it's to the point where it's like, hey, you're copying them. It's like, no, I'm not. Like if you actually watch, it's very different.
Yeah.
Also, the demon thing doesn't happen overnight, and it's in its early stages where like gears being made as I speak right now, where it gets more and more and more. You can't just, like, when I tell stories, like I don't just give you the whole script and the whole movie right here. Like we got the first movie, the second movie, like we got, it's like chapters. I'm not gonna, like, if I give you a book of my character, I'm not gonna read you the ending right away. So it's a process, and it's a long one. It's a hard one. I'm working with couple directors about getting some films made, like short films that evolve with this character, and it gives you a backstory about this character, which I think is something no one really does. So I, it's a process. Like I've been writing a script for a short, like 5-10 minute film, just literally giving you the details of this character and how the possession happened and whatnot, and just trying to find a set or not a set, but like a place to film this, and whatnot. So it's like it's not something I can just give everybody right now. Here you go. Here's everything right now. Like you got to be patient. You gotta, wait. Also, this is expensive. So it's like trying to do what I can do right now.
No, I love that. I can't wait to see that film when it gets made. That sounds cool as hell. I love that because, like you say, like. There are a few that I know of, but not many who, like, outside of big promotions who can afford that production, do, like, actual, like, video, like, filming, building themselves.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I know of some people that, they don't charge crazy amount of this, and I literally live 15 minutes away from it's like Full Sail University.
Yeah.
Which is literally just production stuff, and I don't know anyone that goes there, but I do have a director friend that has a lot of connections there. So he's like, I got you. We're going to hook it up. So just, waiting to hear back from that. It's not like something that happens overnight. It's like a literal movie.
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. And that sort of brings me on to a nice little feature we've got on the show called What's in a Name, and it's sort of about what makes Devlin Devlin, do you know what I mean? What makes you your character, essentially. And the way I like to put it is always like, if you had to pick a stand-in for the night to be you, not who would it be? What would that person have to have? What would it take to be you in the ring for that one night? What would that person need to have?
That is a very good question. So if I had to like pick someone, I guess like essentially play me.
Yeah, like not necessarily pick a wrestler or something, but like if you needed a replacement for the night and you were holding like auditions, what would like the perfect audition to play in-ring you, like, you know, your character be? What would that person have to have? What would they have to show you to be like, this person can be me? Like, this person's got it.
I would say like they'd have to be able to tap into like some really dark shit. You know, because a lot of my character is surrounded by like personal struggles and stuff. Like I still deal with I have what's called complex PTSD. It's from an abusive childhood I had from my dad.
Sure.
So I go to therapy. I'm a relatively happy person now, but I was always hesitant to tell the story, and I was always kind of like characterless, but I always had this idea, like, what if my character was very like dark and like, I wouldn't say like my gimmick is I have PTSD, because I feel like that's a little disrespectful, but I don't think there's any characters in wrestling that tap into that. There are characters that are like, oh, I'm a sociopath or whatnot, and I feel like when you portray mental illness, it kind of gives people hope sometimes. Like, I wanted to tell a story where it was like, hey, like, I made it through, you can make it through, like trying to be a little influential. But with the demonic thing, it's like, we all have our inner demons. And essentially, this is what happens when you don't try to fix them and you let them like overrun you. So obviously, I've worked on my demons, but Devlin has not. So, I was talking to some trainers, and I was very hesitant to portray a character and that has mental illness issues, as I struggle with in real life. Like I PTSD, I have ADHD, I have IED sometimes, not sometimes, but I was diagnosed with, it's like intermittent explosive disorder. So I have issues. And, I think when you try to, like, hey, I'm a perfectly good human, like perfectly fine, like I feel no emotions and I'm strong and powerful, it's like, that's not someone you would like to relate to. Everyone goes through stuff. And, I remember growing up, John Moxley was like my biggest hero. He still is, it's never changed. But, I don't know, like, if he struggled with anything, but like when I was very depressed and, suicidal, it was like, this was like my beacon of hope here. Like how he talked to the fans or how he cut promos and how he acted and stuff. It was like, oh, he's this badass that, seems like he was, I remember in promos he would talk about, drug dealing and like being poor and like having everything stolen from him, like things like that, where I was like, I can relate to that, like that's something I can relate to. So it was nice. And I kind of want to be that for, people that maybe, no matter how old they are, if they're going through something similar that I went through, or if they're older and they're like a war veteran, it's like, hey, we all can get through this, there's light at the end of the tunnel and there's hope for everybody.
Yeah, no, and I love that. Like, that really hits home. That's like really meaningful, and like I think that's lovely, to be honest, because I think that like mental health is still like something that isn't talked about enough, just generally. And I feel like you say, like when you can see someone on TV who's like embodying that thing that you can relate to, then that's something you can be like, oh, like, I'm not alone, and also if they can do it, I can do it as well. Like, I think that's a really important thing.
I know a lot of people kind of, I mean, not a lot of people, but I did see, like, some ignorant people, you know, when Moxley went for rehab, you know, like, that takes a lot for someone to go to rehab, but publicly be like, I have to get help.
Yeah.
You know, like, that is very influential and, like, you know, needs to be praised and stuff like that. Needs to be talked about more. You know, I think it's more of a common thing for women to struggle with mental health and not really men. Men do, but, you know, men don't want to, you know, reach out, or maybe they're afraid of, you know, the toxic masculinity that, you know, is portrayed on them. It's like, oh, you know, you have to be strong. And it's like, that's bullshit. Like, you can get help as well. Because if you don't, it could lead to way worse things. And I think that that's what more so happened with my dad. He refused to get help, and he was a drug addict. He had all these issues, believed to have schizophrenia, like untreated. So it was like, if you don't get help, like, you're just going to get worse, and you're going to turn into someone that you don't want to be.
Yeah. And like, and you're right, and I think, like, in my mind, I've always thought, like, whether you're a man or a woman, like, asking for help is clearly the stronger thing, right? Like, it takes guts to, like, be like, I need help. I want to seek help. Like, that's not easy.
Yeah. I remember, you know, I was wrestling at a show, and a lot of indie shows, you have to share a bathroom with the fans. It's kind of like a thing, so it is what it is. But I was in the bathroom, and I was in there with someone else. It was like 2 stalls, and I heard, like, crying coming from the bathroom. Like, they were outside, like, by the sink, and I didn't see who was in the bathroom when I walked in. I just walked in, you know, I think I was changing, and then I heard the crying, and I was like, okay, like, you know, maybe you'll never know what someone's going through, but sometimes it's like, should I ask? Like, maybe, you know, maybe they don't want to talk about it. So, but I came out, and it was I don't know, like a 10-year-old girl. And I was like, oh my God, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't walk away from this because she's by herself, you know? So maybe she needs to be comforted or something. And I asked her, I said, hey, like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't like this because this reminds me of what my dad does to my mom. And she was talking about, like, the wrestling, and I was like, oh, fuck, okay. Well, you know, are you, like, who are you? I asked her who she was here with. She said, you know, her mom. And I told her, like, hey, well, you know, you can leave. Like, you don't have to stay here. You don't have to force yourself to stay here. Like, if this is, like, a trigger for you, you know, please, like, don't feel like you have to stay. Like, this isn't for everybody. And, you know, I asked her, I said, are you like, what did you mean? You know, like, and she was telling me that, like, her dad is abusive to her mom and her. And, you know, it really hit home because it was like, whoa, like, okay, I can, like, legitimately relate to this poor child. She's in this bathroom crying, and, like, she has nobody to talk to. And it was just like one of those moments where it was like, this is kind of like why I do this, you know? And I talked to her a little bit, you know, she cried, she got it out of her system. You know, I told her a little bit of my story. I was like, hey, well, I can relate to you, and, you know, I'm here now. And luckily I was a good guy that night because she was in the crowd. She decided to stay, and I came out there. I really catered to her, and I ended up winning the match, and she's just over the moon about it. And she hugged me like 50 times after the show. She just, like, her moods shifted. And she ended up, like, I gave her my Instagram. I said, if you ever need anything, you text me. And me and I had a couple conversations after that. But, you know, that was a moment where I was like, oh shit, you know, like, this is, like, something that, like, you have to, I guess, I don't really know what I'm trying to say per se, but, you know, it's just like, that was a moment where I was like, okay, this is a responsibility I have to take. And if you know, that kind of influenced me to start speaking more about my story and, trying to be there and help influence people, I guess. Because I was very quiet about my past because I don't think anyone cares, and they probably don't. But this little 11-year-old girl, like, that's what prevented her from having a complete mental breakdown at a show, So I try. And if there's anyone listening and, you've had issues like that, like I'm here if you want to vent in my DMs. Just please don't use it as an excuse to talk to me because that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
You will get
no, so. Sure. Yeah. And that's like, no, kudos to that. Because again, that's not an easy position to be in. And like, but like, again, like it's cool that you were able to help in that way, for sure. I was going to say, like, for yourself personally, like becoming Devlyn, becoming this character, I also imagine, like, given your past, like, it must be quite cathartic, right? To sort of almost like that release of emotion, almost.
Yeah. So I like to take I think with wrestling, a lot of it is acting, and especially when you do character stuff. And I like to take, like, the method acting way, which can be very shitty sometimes. So, I music was always, like, a little bit of an escape for me growing up. And there was always, like, I always was listening to, like, the depressing songs and stuff because that's just what I could relate to. But, I'm a pretty happy person now. I have my days and whatnot, but I love my life. I'm chasing my dream, and it's sometimes I've had to, especially now that I'm doing this character, I've had to tap into some very dark places mentally to pull this out again. And I recently started going back to therapy, just kind of make sure that it doesn't go too far. But, like, I would listen to these songs that I haven't heard in years, that I would listen to when I was very, very depressed. And it definitely does the job. It definitely pulls it out of me. But I think when you, especially, like, I've looked into, like, method acting, and it's hard. Like, I have diaries from when I was a kid, and I would talk about different things, and I have to sometimes reread them to tap into something that I don't really want to tap back into. But to get to that character, to get to whatever, you have to. But the only thing that sucks about it is it's until I maybe get signed one day, this is going to be my character. I'm kind of stuck with this. I feel like when you're an actor in a movie, you do the role and then you're like, okay, don't got to do that again. But, for me, it's been like the past 5-6 months, I've just constantly every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just tapping into this, tapping into this. And then the week I'm just like, all right, let's forget about it until the weekend comes back up.
Yeah. So what do you, like, I'm just curious now in terms of, like, what you do to sort of, like, unwind from that in terms of, like, your, like, mental health, like, detox almost, like, to sort of, like, in that recovery time between shows, like, what helps you? What do you like to do to sort of, like, help unwind from all that? Because I imagine that's quite mentally draining.
Well, I definitely do therapy. So I do therapy, and I've luckily been able to have the same therapist since I was 15. So she's very familiar with my case.
Which is good. That's important.
So I have, that. I also, enjoy, like, things like CrossFit. And, I have my dog, my mom. She's, always been a great support system for me. And I have great friends. I have people that support me. They're one call away, so I've been very fortunate to be lucky with that. But I mean, for me, I'm pretty to myself. I'm a pretty introverted person. I don't go out and I don't like partying and stuff. Like, I just, unwind at home and just relax and just, try not to think about it. Try to get away from all that negativity.
Sure. No, I get you. I'm, like, quite introverted myself, so I understand that. And, like, I was also just curious in terms of, like, that sort of line between like yourself now and Devlyn in terms of character, because if I'm honest, the thing that made me think about it most is that when I thought I'm going to be interviewing Devlyn Macabre, I didn't think that she would have a flag of what looks like Nicki Minaj on the American flag on a wall behind her. Do you know what I mean? That seems very un-Devlyn. So I'm very curious to like what that line is between yourself and the character.
Well, I love some Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
So,
who doesn't, right? Who doesn't?
I got it as a joke for like the 4th of July last year. Yeah, I don't know. I just have it up there. It's a nice flag. I think me and my character can be pretty similar at times, but like I said, I'm more of a now I'm more of a happier person. You know, I'm still very introverted, and I don't have many friends, and I don't trust people. But I also am very like positive. You know, I'm still a kid. I feel like I am a kid at heart now, you know, like, because I had to kind of grow up very fast living with my dad. So I kind of had to, like, learn different things pretty quickly. But now that I feel like I'm an adult and I can take care of myself now, I can kind of have the childhood that I wasn't able to have with him. So, you know, like, I collect action figures and build Lego sets and things like that. Like, I have Universal passes where I'll go ride roller coasters if I want to. So, yeah, like that's who I am as a person, and that's kind of what separates me from Devlyn.
Yeah, no, I love that. What figures and stuff do you collect?
Mainly just wrestling ones. I collect Moxley. Like it. I mean, if I can find a one like that drops, I will get one. But you know, I like those. I started collecting more like comic book ones because I've always liked comic books, but those figures are expensive as fuck. And I would like to start collecting like the little Jurassic Park ones once I have more space in my house. So that's the goal.
Nice, love it. Well, that brings us nicely on to like our closing feature of the show. And this is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler. And it's sort of similar to what we've been talking about because it's a little bit getting to know about you. This isn't about Devlyn now. This is about yourself. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you let me know what comes to mind for each one. So the first one is, what is your favourite post-pinfall pig out?
Post-pinfall, like after I win or lose or
like after a show, like what's like the the sort of cheat meal you get, like the like treat yourself meal.
I love some chicken wings. Nice. Yeah, I love the chicken wings. That's like what my go-to.
Nice. Are we talking like crispy or like grilled ones?
Oh, I like they're called naked here. I don't know what they're called over in the UK, but they're like naked wings. They're like skin.
Yeah. Like
they're not breaded. I don't like the breaded ones.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Nice. Do you get like sauces and stuff on it? Like, do you have a go-to sauce?
Oh yeah, barbecue.
Nice.
A side of mayo with buffalo, and then a bucket of ranch.
Love it. A bucket of that much.
I love ranch. Yeah, you guys don't have ranch over there. No. It's very disappointing.
Oh, we don't, and like it confuses the hell out of me, to be honest. Because like I see people on like YouTube and stuff, they put like ranch on everything, and I'm like, it can't go with everything. Like, what is this?
Yeah, it does go with everything. Ranch is like amazing. It is kind of a southern thing. Like I was just born and raised in the South, so like ranch is very like commonly used here. I usually mix barbecue and ranch together. It's a very good mix. You got to try it.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, I told myself the next time I go over there, I'm smuggling a bottle of ranch.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you manage to smuggle a bottle of ranch over and I see you at a show and you happen to have it on you, I'll try it, like, out of science, I think.
You have to.
I'll bring my own barbecue sauce to see how the mix is.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it doesn't work, so we'll see.
It does work, I promise you, I assure you.
Okay, alright, I'll hold you to that. The next one is, it's another food one. It's like, what would your, like, death row meal be, your last meal?
Probably my death row last meal would probably be like my mom's hash browns.
Nice.
They're very good. She puts like cheese in there, onions, ham. Oh my god.
Hell
Like
yeah.
makes my mouth sizzle.
That
And
sounds...
a sweet tea.
Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, I've had like American, like Southern sweet tea before, and like that is... You're not lying on that. Like that is... It's possibly the sweetest thing I've ever tried in my life.
Yeah, sweet tea is amazing. Okay, it is amazing. I like came out the womb drinking that. I feel like. Surprised I'm not pre-diabetic yet.
Love it, love it. The next one is the song that gets you the most hyped.
Oh God, that's a good one too. I'd have to look at my Spotify real quick because I have a playlist for like before a match, but that's more like, hey, we got to get into this like really depressing mood. So it's definitely not from there, but like from like if I was to like work out or something.
Yeah.
Probably I would say Purple Lamborghini from the Suicide Squad album.
Nice.
That one's just like I can do some serious cardio to that song.
Yeah, that's like that. That's a good choice. The next one is on to other entertainment. It's movies. The movie that I'd show the locker room.
Oh, okay. So, like a movie I would show, like advise everyone to watch.
Yeah.
Would probably be Grown Ups.
Grown Ups is hilarious.
You know that? Oh, you know the movie?
Yeah. It's
that's like
Adam
my
Sandler one,
comfort
right?
movie.
Grown Ups.
It's got like Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
He's great. I love anything with Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, like I'm very on off with Adam Sandler. Like Happy Gilmore, elite for me. Like nothing tops that.
Damn.
But like,
yeah, no, Adam Sandler's the best.
No,
I like Blended though. That'd be like a next one.
Nice.
I'm not a big romantic fan, but Blended's like my favorite like romance movie.
Yeah.
It's like a rom-com.
No, it's a good choice. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's your first job.
My first job was I was a hostess at a restaurant. It was absolutely awful. I hated it. I was like 16 and I was getting yelled at by some old people. And I was like, "Where's my table?" And I'm like, "Lady, we told you it's a 30-minute wait and it's been 2 minutes. Like, fuck off."
Yeah, I think that's classic first job, isn't it? And like food service, I just admire anyone who works in food service because like people are just awful generally. Like people are so annoying.
Yeah, literally before I went to Europe, I was working in food service. I was a waitress at a restaurant, Mexican restaurant. It was very high volume, made great money, but my mental health plummeted like every shift. Okay, so like I know in Europe they don't tip over there because they get paid a living wage, but in America it's like you get paid like $5 an hour and you rely on tips. But even if we like, I get it, like you're not entitled to tip, right? But you don't treat people like shit because your food's taking a long time.
Yeah.
I've been serving since I was like 18. I'm 22 now. So, you know, I don't think I've like ever really like lost my shit on a server unless they were, and I wouldn't even lose, but I'd just be like, "Yo, I'm ready to go."
Yeah.
Like there was a couple times where it was just absolute, like they were rude from the get-go. Like I can understand that, but if someone is like giving you good service, they're keeping your drinks full, they're like, "Hey, my kitchen's backed up right now, sorry for the wait," and you're like cussing them out, screaming at them, you deserve to go to hell.
No, that's true. Like that's like, yeah, no, very relatable. I get it.
I mean, I will say, no offense to Europeans, but when I went out to eat over there, the service was not nearly as good as in America, but I think it's because in America they're trying to get the tip, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to get the 20%.
Yeah, you're more reliant on it.
I don't really think there was a time where I was like, "Oh, that service is great," you know? And it's not a dig over at all. It was just like also coming from someone that's been serving, I do have, I guess, expectations. So I had to like, it was very common for me to have to kind of hunt someone down, like, "Can I get some more water, please?" Like, you know, or "Hey." But in America, for the most part, service is on par here.
Yeah.
Unless you go to like a Waffle House. Good luck.
Yeah. The Waffle House is something I've heard too much about just from this podcast about. It's
I prefer IHOP, and I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, see, I've heard bad things about IHOP, but like both of them are places that like intrigue me so much. Like they're both places that certain people have like warned me off, but I'm just so intrigued. I'm like, I've got to go. Like, I've got to try it at least once to know what it's all about.
I like IHOP. I feel like for the most part, I've had pretty decent service there. It's definitely better than like a Denny's, or definitely better than a Waffle House. I remember I almost got shot at a Waffle House. Like that's just no, I don't do Waffle House.
No, yeah. IHOP, if you're watching, like sponsor Devlyn, give us some free pancakes.
Pancakes are okay, but I prefer waffles.
Right. But like pancakes and waffles are the same thing, right? It's just a different shape.
No, they're very different over here. Like I feel like the waffles have more of like a crunchier texture. So you just like, but the pancakes over here are just like, eh.
Sure.
I will say I had pancakes in the Netherlands and they were completely not pancakes. They were good, but they were not pancakes. I was like, this is some false advertising.
Yeah. Pancakes are different around the world. Like, it's fine.
There was people putting like pizza sauce on the pancakes.
Oh, no, that's not pancake. What? That's weird.
Yeah, and I tried it and it was good, but I was like, this is not a pancake. You would not put marinara sauce on a pancake. Like, are you okay?
It's a pizza.
I don't know what this was, but it actually went really well with the marinara. So I was like, this is not a pancake.
Yeah, but it's good.
Like
it's good, else. But it's not a pancake. Yeah. But
they said it was pancake. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this is not a pancake.
Yeah. I'd trust an American to know a pancake over a Dutchman.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I gotta take the American side there because then the Dutchmen don't know what a pancake is. All right,
love it.
Don't cancel me, please. I'm just stating facts here.
Let me wrestle, but I'm not having the pancake.
Yeah, let me just voice my opinion on the Dutch pancakes. Those are not pancakes.
Love it. The next one gets a little deep because it's your greatest fear.
My greatest fear? I would say losing everyone that I love.
Sure. Yeah. Understandable. Naturally. For sure. The next one brings it back up again, though. It's a little happier. It's your favourite animal.
My favourite animal is either a dolphin or an alligator.
Nice.
Very opposite sides of the spectrum.
Very different. I was going to say, those are two very different animals.
Yeah, you gotta have your like bubbly and then you gotta have your aggressive, Yeah. That's how I like explain my personality. If someone asked me, I'd be like, I'm like a dolphin mixed with an alligator.
I was gonna say, like, based on this chat, I like to think that is like the two sides of you. Like, there's like the bubbly, like sort of happy side, and then there's like the vicious side that will tear you apart. Yeah,
like I turn into an alligator when like I get overstimulated. Yeah. So like, get out the way.
Love it. The next one is the only wrestling question on this list. It's your favorite match stipulation.
Oh, my favorite match stipulation. I don't know. I love a good like tornado tag match. Those aren't really oftenly done. But I would say a good old like I love the Royal Rumble. There's just something about the Royal Rumble. It's just like every 30 seconds someone comes out. Who is it or not? Every 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 people. It's like, who could it be? There's always surprises. There's always these crazy things. Like, oh my God, I love it. As a child, I was like waiting for that buzzer. It's like my favorite time of the year. Fuck Christmas. Royal Rumble was it for me.
Yeah. Royal Rumble like is the answer we get the most because like it's just so well done. It's just so iconic and like it's weird because like a battle royal is shit in my mind. I hate battle royals. But the Royal Rumble is just beautiful.
Yeah, I don't really like battle royals. Like, if you put a battle royal on my screen, I'm probably going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to be an asshole about that, but they're just not entertaining for me. Because I think for me, and also I've been in a couple battle royals, and like going back to the ADHD, I get very overstimulated. And if there's so many people in this battle royal, I'm going to be like freaking out, like, what's going on? And watching it, I'm like, I can't even keep up with who's out. Oh my god. But like the Royal Rumble, I feel like is more slower paced.
Yeah.
And it's just like controlled chaos. I feel like, and I can handle it. I'm like,
exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. Love a Rumble. The next one is your favorite place in the world.
Favorite place in the world? Ooh.
It can be like as big or small as you want. We've had people say like whole countries, or like someone said their bed. Like you can say whatever you want, like literally anything in between.
I would probably say I love New Orleans. New Orleans is a really nice place. I just don't like going alone because there's just so much going on out there. It is the I don't know, alcohol capital of the world. I heard. I'm telling you, I've only had one hangover in my life, and that was when I was on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. I was blasted. So I love it. I am also like a horror fan, and there's so much rich history there. Like, you know, you have all these like you have Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen out there. You can see where they filmed American Horror Story. There's like these tombs from like the 1800s. Like there's so much like rich history. You also have to be respectful though. Some people go out there and they're like puking on some people's gravestones, and that is just a no-no for me.
Yeah. I feel like New Orleans as well is sort of like if Devlyn ever wants like a post wrestling career, opening like a satanic shop, like New Orleans is a great place for that, right?
Yeah, but I honestly, contrary to popular belief, I do not practice Satanism. I stay away from that. No judgment, you know. But I I don't fuck with the demons.
No, exactly. Yeah, don't want to cross the line too much. Don't want to tempt fate.
No, you're good.
But no, that's great. And then the last one is it's on the opposite end of the spectrum for the last one because it's your dream holiday destination.
I would say probably Hawaii or Australia.
Nice. Again, two very opposite ends of the globe.
Yeah, but I think Australia is very I've actually spoken with Australians, and I feel like it's just another like version of Florida, you know? So maybe I would go with Hawaii over, but I don't know. I would like to go to Australia because I love Australian accents. I think like they're the best accents in the world.
Yes, thank you. Yes, completely agree.
But they do sound very similar to British accents. So,
no, they don't. No, they do not.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
I feel like they do. They're very similar.
No chance. Who's an Australian I've had on the show? Who can I get on? I'll call Charlie Evans now, get her on so you can hear the difference in our accents.
Okay, yeah, I gotta check that interview.
No, like you No.
I remember I was hanging out with a group of us, and there was a British and there was an Australian, and it's just like you couldn't tell the difference between the two. They're very similar. Now, I know like the way they say no is like ner, and I feel like British people say ner as well. Like I don't know.
Oh, no.
Canceled. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend anyone's accents out here.
This is gonna get you cancelled for sure. That's outrageous statement. That's unbelievable. Can't believe what I've just heard. No chance.
All the British people are gonna be messaging me now.
All the Australians are as well. There's
yeah, I done pissed the Brits and the Australians off.
Before that, I was about to say
and the Dutchmen.
Yeah, and the Dutch. Oh God, we're just insulting everyone.
Yeah.
I was about to say before that, I was like, you go to Australia, you should like check out the wrestling scene there as well, because there's a great wrestling scene out there as well. But they won't have you now. They're gonna watch this. They're gonna have heard this, and they're gonna be like, no chance.
Don't book that girl. She thinks we sound like the Brits.
Love it. Well, I think that's a brilliant place to close. I think that's a great place to end it. So, no, Devlyn Macabre, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, I did. It was a great little chat.
Good. I'm glad. We have a couple of closing features here on the show. The first is a relatively like new tradition we've got, where our last guest leaves a question for our next guest. So we've had our previous guest on the show leave you a question, which is not wrestling related. It's very bizarre. It's a very bizarre question. So I hope you enjoy it. Just frozen, so I'm going to wait for you to come back. There you go, you're back.
No, I'm back.
So, yes, our last guest left you this question, and it's very bizarre. There's no way you'll have an answer prepared for this, and if you do, I applaud you. If you were a dinosaur, which dinosaur would you be?
T-Rex.
Nice. You got that answer way too quickly.
Maybe a velociraptor. I'd be a velociraptor.
Oh yeah, that's pretty evil. Yeah. I like that.
That was not a crazy question because I am a Jurassic Park fanatic, so that was easy.
There you go. So like the person who asked this question is also a Jurassic Park fanatic. So like.
Who was this person?
Oh, see, I'm not allowed to tell you on recording, but I'll tell you afterwards, and you can like you guys can hook up over your mutual love.
Is it a girl?
It was a girl, yeah.
I feel like I know who this girl is.
Really?
Is she from Florida?
She's not. No.
Oh, okay, then it's not.
Nah.
Let's say it was Allie Rex because I know she loves Jurassic Park.
No, we need to get Ali on to be fair, but it's not. No, it's not her. It's not her. It's a French wrestler actually. So.
Oh, okay.
Someone you can like. Well, actually, she lives in the UK, but she is French, so you can hook up whether you're in France or England.
Okay, cool.
I'll let you know
We're
after.
talk about
Sorry, yeah, that's part of the part of the thing is that I'm not allowed to reveal who asked the question. So like that's just I don't know why, but that's part of the thing. So no, that's brilliant. I love that. And once we've stopped recording, I'll get your question for our next guest as well. But I think that brings us to a close brilliantly. And like again, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's been lovely having you on. It's been great chatting and like. I really appreciate you being so open and honest about like so many things that like I know are like personal, but I think are important to talk about, and I really appreciate you being so honest about those things.
Yeah, of course, no problem at all.
No, so we always leave our guest with one final bit of promo time. So whether it's in America or whether it's back when you're over here in Europe in September, October, if someone sees you on a match poster, on a match card, anywhere near them, or is going to a show and you're wrestling. Why is Devlyn Macabre going to steal the show?
Because I am the most aggressive thing. Yeah, I'm an alligator. Come on. You gotta put me on the spot like that. I don't know.
That's how we always put everyone on the spot on that end question. Just guess.
I feel like I'm being tested now.
But I love that. I just love the like, I'm an alligator. That's all you need to know, right? Like, I'd go and see that.
I'm an alligator in the ring, and then I'm a dolphin at the merch table.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's a great place to close. That's a great place to close. Well,
I'm like Hannah Montana. You get the best of both worlds.